And we're back with the Blue and Gold Report on KUCI, and we bring in Dan Klatt, head coach of the 6th-ranked women's water polo team. Dan, we're so glad to have you on the show again this year.
Thanks for having me. Always glad to be here.
It's been quite a year for you. Last year, you took the Anteaters to a 4th-place finish at the NCAA tournament. From there, you helped the women's national team win gold in London. You got married, and now you're fully into the UCI schedule in 2013. You're 7-3. It's been a whirlwind for you.
2012 was a pretty incredible year. Our UCI season obviously was the best in history. We were really happy with the finish. Still working for more. We continue to have that goal of winning a national title, so we won't be satisfied until we reach that plateau, and probably not even then. And obviously the Olympics, I always start that sentence when someone asks me with "it was an incredible experience," which doesn't sum it up in any way, shape, or form. Hopefully some people that are listening got a chance to read my blogs that I put out a little bit during the Olympic Games, and that kind of captivated a little more of the feeling and what it was about. But I had the opportunity to be around an amazing staff, other amazing athletes from other sports, and just an amazing group of women. And there's not really much more to say than we did the best that you could possibly do in our sport and achieved the highest level possible. And it was exciting, life-changing as a coach.
Let's focus on London for a minute. Not only is it the first gold for the women, but it's only the second in U.S. water polo history, the men last winning the gold in 1904. Describe that moment when the clock ran down against Spain.
It was a game, actually, where I usually have these feelings about how a team that I'm with is going to be successful or not. And the way we handled the previous game, there was a little bit of adversity in the semifinal game against Australia, and the way that the team came together and handled that and played that game in overtime, I sort of knew that we were going to win. I just had the feeling that we were going to win, and the attitude of the girls was perfect. It was right where it needed to be, and I thought right from the beginning of the game we were in control. So when the last buzzer went off, obviously that's when 4 years of training and working hard and long hours come crashing in on you, and you're just overwhelmed and excited, and you don't really fully grasp it at that point, but it was a neat feeling to be able to celebrate with everyone. And the best part is always just watching the look on the athletes' faces, being proud of themselves and knowing what they had accomplished, and just seeing them get to relax actually for a moment and celebrate all the work that they put in. And a lot of the memories for me don't even necessarily come from the Olympic Games. They come from the day-to-day process, the times where I've gotten to see them cry because they were in so much pain but pushed on, or they've struggled with a specific fundamental and then captured the correct way to do it and been able to succeed. Those are the neat memories that I'll always carry with me.
Was this a young national team, or was this a good mixture of youth and veteran?
It was a great mixture. Our youngest player was 19, Maggie Steffens, who actually ended up being the player of the world and the MVP of the Olympic Games. And our oldest player was Heather Petrie, who was 33 and a 4-time Olympian on her 4th Olympic cycle. And it was a really neat mix because obviously those veterans were able to help the younger players, the first-time Olympians, with the whole process and getting them prepared. And so I think everyone arrived ready for what was coming. There was no one that was shocked or surprised because we had that good balance.
I like that title, Player of the World. I think the NCAA needs to enact that for the NCAA tournament. If you're the MVP of the NCAA tournament, you need to be called Player of the World. I like it.
Player of the World is definitely an extraordinary title. She deserved it for that last year. She really was extraordinary at the Olympic Games, but her teammates put her in a lot of good positions to be able to succeed, and they had a lot to do with her being there and at that highest level.
Do you feel this team can repeat in Rio 2016?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think we have a lot of dedicated athletes, a lot of passionate women that are willing to put their lives on hold for something special. There's about half the team that's coming back, and there's a ton of great young talent out there. It's not going to be easy. There's wonderful players all throughout the world, countries that are passionate about the sport, that want to achieve the same thing that we want to achieve. But I do believe we have a special breed of athlete in the United States, and if they do everything that's necessary, which I believe the leadership will put them in the position to do those things and help them reach their goals, I believe we can do it.
Now, the big question is, are you part of that leadership? Are you going to be in Rio in 2016?
That's undecided at this point. There's still a situation. Adam Krikorian, who was the previous head coach, is still trying to decide what's best for him to do moving forward with his life, and I have let him know that I am willing to be there with him at his side again and help assist the team, and I'd love to be a part of it. Playing for the USA or coaching for the USA has always had a special place, and it's something I'd like to be a part of forever. I don't know that there'll ever be a time that I don't want to wear red, white, and blue and serve my country in that way. But it just remains to be seen right now. I'm gonna hang out and let him make his decision and not force anything upon him and be there to back him up when he does.
Describe your experience as a player, because you were an Olympian, and as a coach. Are they equal excitement, equal joy, equal work? Is it, would you rather have played a little bit longer, or do you like the coaching part of it a little bit more?
You can always look back and say would have, could have, should have. I don't regret my coaching career in any way, shape, or form. I think I was a good water polo player. I was more of a hard worker and a dirty work type of player than I ever was an amazing talent.
And we thank Coach Newland for that.
Definitely praise to Coach Newland for that. But I enjoyed the coaching side very much. I think it's a neater feeling because you're proud of more people. You're these people that you've had some small part in their life and teaching them how to be champions and how to be winners, and what they've taught me as well is just a greater feeling as a coach. And it's just something I think I'm better at. I think I'm a better coach than I was a player. I have the ability to do more as a coach than I could have as a player. And the Olympic experience is a little bit different in that as a player, you're very focused. Not that you're not as a coach, but there's no extra time. You're eating, sleeping, training, and playing just like you always do on any other trip or any other day. As a coach, it really doesn't matter quite as much if I'm tired when I show up to the game. So you can explore around and kind of take note of things a little bit more. I think I noticed a lot more things this time around than I actually noticed as an athlete because I was just so focused on our competition.
A water polo on the men's side is huge in Europe. Is it as big on the women's side, or is that still developing?
It's still developing. I mean, it is big in several of the countries. I would say the Baltic states are still developing women's water polo there. Croatia has kind of made a commitment to raise the bar a little bit in that area. So the programs that are good on the men's side are a little bit different than who's good on the women's side. I wouldn't say that it's less. There are less teams that compete in the Olympic Games right now. There's 12 men's teams that qualify and only 8 women's teams. That may be something that we see change in the future, possibly in this next Olympic Games. But I think that just like at the college level, the women's water polo support is rising, and there's more and more countries interested in sponsoring programs.
Jillian Yoakum and McKenna Mitchell both represented the U.S. at the Pan American Under-19s. Are we looking at 2 future Olympians in your mind?
Potentially. I always say I think they have the ability to do it. Being an Olympian is something to yourself, because I think in the college realm, although it's challenging to put together your schedule, you're still on some sort of a set schedule. You're here to be a student first and graduate and get a degree, and water polo comes along with that, so it's kind of easy to stay involved in it. When you get to the national team level, it becomes a lot more professional. It's just about training and bettering yourself athletically and professionally each day, and you have to put certain life ambitions on hold to be a part of that. So it really takes a focused and dedicated individual. You have to really want it. You can't just say you want it. You have to show that you want it every single day. Do I think they're capable of it? I think we have a few players even beyond that are capable of doing it. It's just about, do they want to do it?
Similar to the early years of beach volleyball, you saw the players, they had to support themselves working while training. Is that the same at the national team level?
I think it is in some ways. Usually there's a small stipend that comes through for the elite training group. It's not very much. I mean, they live pretty frugally and pretty simply. The sponsorships for U.S. water polo have gotten much better, so there's a lot more opportunity. They're getting some food supplies and some other things that are helping them, and on occasion, U.S. water polo has been able to make deals with living arrangements, and you find just individuals, families that are willing to provide, maybe cheaper rent on a place that they own or something like that to help the national team athletes out. There's no question that you do it for love and pride. It's not lucrative in any way, shape, or form. They're not living large or living well. They're dedicating themselves to the sport and to playing for their country.
You're in your 9th season as the head coach at UC Irvine, and the program's been in the spotlight the last 4 years. And in fact, you haven't dropped a Big West game since 2010. Looking back at the last 9 years, what were the biggest challenges for you as a coach in getting the program to where you've wanted it to be?
I think just setting a vision, setting a short-term plan for each season, setting a long-term plan for the program as a whole, and then just creating an attitude amongst the players. One thing that's fantastic about this team this year, we have a couple red shirts, and I think people went into the season not quite sure about how we were going to be or what we were going to be able to do. And this team, of all teams I've ever coached, maybe at any level, has shown the most resilience and heart and passion for playing together and wanting to be good of any team that I've seen. So I just think it was about setting that standard. What do we want to be? What do we want to represent? What do we want to do? And that doesn't just get built in a year. I mean, there was a couple hard years at the beginning, but it goes all the way back to those first players making changes and adopting a new system, a new style, coaching. I've also grown as a coach. It would be a laugher if I said that I was a good coach my first couple years that I coached here. I don't even know if I'm a good coach yet, but I'm continually trying to improve myself, as are the other members of my staff, to be as good as we can be and continue to add more to the program so that the players are getting something new and something special each year instead of just staying on the same level. If we want to get better, we got to have more. We got to know more. We got to learn more, and we got to seek more. So there was some development of the program. It was in the very early stages, and obviously having 3 coaches come in that short of amount of time, I think that it gets a little bit lost. So it was mine to start with from the beginning and start a whole new process, and we were able to do that, and it continues to grow. It evolves as I learn from the players and as I learn from the other things I'm doing as a coach. It evolves, and I have to try to stay as current with the times and understand what Twitter and Facebook and all of these things are. I don't do them, but I have to at least understand what they are and how to do them and what they're about, and it helps me stay in touch with the athletes.
Gosh, I blocked out that Julie Swills year. I can't believe I did that. You're 7-3 to start 2013. Your only losses coming against Stanford, and they won the NCAA tournament last year, and 2 against Arizona State. The most recent was a 1-goal loss in triple overtime. In fact, you only lost by 1 goal to Arizona State twice.
Yeah, those have been challenging games. The first time that we played them, we went down 4-1 in the first period and lost the game 5-4, and showed a lot of heart throughout that entire contest and improved our play immediately within the game. We made some good adjustments. The players made some good adjustments. And in the second game, we played with them the whole way. Honestly, we were up 5-3 with about 3 minutes left. And they have some explosive players on their team. And we were trying to close out the game, and I think we have a little bit to learn situationally right now. I think we're playing good water polo. We just need to learn specific situations within the game, and that was one area where we just kind of failed to close out the game, and they were able to get 2 goals at the end of the game, and they came in to the overtime with a little bit of momentum. They scored the first goal there as well, so they had just scored 3 goals in a row. We were able to score a goal to tie it up and go into overtime, or to go into a sudden death overtime. We actually, right at the end of the regular overtime, had a goal scoring opportunity right in front of the cage that we just couldn't realize. Went into the sudden death overtime, and Arizona actually scored with 0.45 seconds left on the clock in the first sudden death overtime period. So if we could have played defense for 1 more second, we would have gone on to 1 more period. But it was a fantastic learning experience. The victory of the day was we had a 2-game break between that devastating loss and playing San Diego State, an important conference opponent. And we came back and we got our attitudes adjusted, and we came back and we gave great effort, and we put up a really good showing against San Diego State in the 3rd, 4th game of the tournament. So I was proud of that.
So again, that's indicative of the culture shift that you've started with this program. But you're doing all this without Jessie Carty, your Big West Player of the Year, Danielle Ward, all Big West first team, and Annika Bergeson, who had 20 goals. In water polo, it's not uncommon to redshirt players, but for our fans who may not know the sport very well, explain the process of deciding to redshirt certain players and what you hope to accomplish.
I just think for the overall progress of the program, obviously this year they would help us, and you know we could be really good with them. It's hard to say. Every team gels a little bit differently. The purpose in redshirting them, they're all athletes who are not in their first year. A lot of times people will redshirt freshmen because they're not necessarily prepared to help the team out. In this case, we have a lot of freshmen that came into the program. We had 9 freshmen this year. And if we had those other 3 players playing, I don't believe that the freshmen would get the opportunities they're getting to develop this year. They're helping us a ton, but they're getting that playing time because these other 3 bodies are out and resting for the year, and it allows those players to gain experience. And as we move the program forward, it's going to be valuable for us in the future.
We're going to stick with Dan Klatt. We're going to take a short break and be right back with the Blue and Gold Report.